Been to the Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio?
Dayton, Ohio. Yes, I have been.
Isn't that
I
cool?
was That was neat. I was there right when they were building the addition on, so it's been a while in that beautiful museum. It's funny because I was thinking about backing up my truck because they had the B1 Lancer bomber, and it's funny because I was gonna back that up in that because they had a tow hook on it. It's like, well, I'm gonna take this home with me, and that I was gonna take a picture of it. And actually, if you
I
check out my
flew there.
website, the one Air Force One that Kennedy was brought back on,
Yeah,
I was on that aircraft and that, and beautiful museum.
yeah, it is. It's actually a 2 to 3 day. If you really want to take it all in, it can take 3 days.
I was there for one solid day in that, and that if you're just taking pictures and going through there kind of quick, yeah, you can do it. But if you want to learn and read and
Yeah,
educate yourself, what you mentioned, 2, 3, maybe even 4 days.
yeah. And then taking the IMAX music, the theater to IMAX, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't do. And then Oshkosh is
You're
coming
in
up
the
soon.
cockpit of a Blue Angel. It's
That's
really cool. It's really cool. And you look around, you're looking in the ceiling, and you're in this cockpit of a Blue Angel, and they're doing the trip. It's
neat.
it's pretty cool.
I think at the museum in Seattle, I believe you can go in an SR-71. A portion of it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, is it worth that? Where'd you go? There she is. Okay, Lene, if you'd like to start, we can go ahead.
Hey, well, welcome everybody. It's June. I'm just blown away by that. Jeff, I noticed Ellen. I don't see her on, and she had mentioned to me that she was only going to be on for a little bit, so we were going to let her go right away. So I guess if anybody sees her pop on, we can let her interrupt. Um, but other than that, though, tonight I'm excited. I know this is our last meeting Zoom before we get to eat ice cream, which is always a great thing. Uh, I know at the beginning of the year, my whole goal was to make sure that by the end of this year, by the end of tonight, I could really manage the slideshow presentation. Well, that just didn't happen. Even tonight's slideshow presentation, the flowers and macro shots that I received, absolutely gorgeous. I used a different program tonight because I locked up my other one, not on purpose. And so I don't know what we're gonna get because when I just reviewed it like 5 minutes before I logged in, yeah, it was kind of interesting. All right. So, anyways, we're going to we'll forge ahead, and I have to say, if nothing else, if I didn't master it, I've learned a lot this year. Um, so tonight we've got Mark and Randy for show and tell. I guess after the announcements, we'll get you guys started with that. The program tonight, we have the club digital image. Jane, you've got that, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. I know we've got on June 7th, the field trip. Is Brian on tonight? There he is. Brian, any updates for the field trip on the 7th? And I cannot hear you. You might be muted.
I think he's on an iPad or his phone, and it's really hard to unmute from a phone and iPad or tablet of some sort. And Linnea, we also have to vote on officers tonight.
Yes. And I guess while we're waiting for Brian, Ellen, I do see that you're here. We can take a pause. Would you like to go? I know you're on a time budget tonight. But you're muted
you're-
as well. Is that the same thing, Jeff?
Yeah,
Nonverbal is good though. I like to hear the words. Ellen, I can't hear you. Looks like she's going to jump out of an airplane.
yeah, I can't tell if she's in a car, airplane, or what.
I know she was on a tight schedule. I think she had another engagement. And Jeff, you can't unmute them, can you?
No, they have to do it themselves.
Okay.
I can mute them, but I can't unmute them. Yeah,
Well, you're going out with a bang with all these issues, but that's okay.
I love technology tonight. I'm going back to
Yeah.
film.
I can
Um,
never remember. You have to touch the screen in a certain spot, and it's always hard to
Well,
do.
the sad thing is they keep changing. They got to keep reinventing the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, it never worked well when I had to come in once on my phone, and so
Well,
yeah.
Jeff, I'm wondering both with Ellen's information and Patty, you might know some of it because I know it's in regards to the logos. And if Brian can't get through, can we send a communication? I know Brian usually meets, in the beginning of the zoo. I mean, after the meeting with,
Well, let's see. The zoo thing was this weekend, isn't it?
yes,
It's this Saturday, and we usually meet shortly after 9:30. The zoo opens
Yeah.
at 9:30. So we'll be meeting in the main entrance, and then going out from there. It's should be warm enough for outdoor photography, but you're welcome to photograph anywhere.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Patty,
and then we
sorry.
usually meet for lunch somewhere. Usually at that one by the lagoon, that restaurant by the lagoon. That's still going, right?
Yes, we usually meet at the little restaurant by the lagoon. Sometimes we eat at the picnic benches there overlooking the lagoon. Sometimes we eat in the restaurant itself.
Okay. Thank you, Ken. I'm sorry, I should have hit you up right away. And then regarding Ellen's information, Patty, are you aware of?
Everybody's having problems
Can't hear
unmuting
you.
today.
You can always hear me, unfortunately. Patty, are you muted?
Yeah, she's muted as well. I don't think I can't unmute people. Maybe if I hit ask to unmute, that will pop up a screen that they can.
I got it. Is that better?
There. Yeah,
Good.
now we can hear you.
Okay. I know we were supposed to vote on the logo tonight, I think, but I don't have any real details other than, Ellen put something about it in the newsletter. I haven't even had time to read the newsletter.
And she did indicate at the picnic when we have the ice cream, we'll have like more physical pieces to look at, not that necessarily items, but we'll have like a physical whatever art or whatever that people could look at and vote on from there. So it sounds
Okay.
like more to be tabled until that day.
Okay.
But I'm thinking that's what she wanted to say. I'm not sure. Ellen, it looks like you're unmuted. Are you there?
I am. I am. I don't know. I just was pushing buttons until something good happened. Basically, I just to recap, I put the logos that we sort of selected, but they're by no means the totally finished ones, which we will look at for real at the ice cream social. So that's the way I was going to set it up, because I'll have a stand or some pictures and things that are there. I've never used this on my phone before, so I have no clue as to what's going on. The other thing I wanted to find out was to just say that the photos, the President's Challenge will only be in the newsletter for July. They will be sent off to Linnea or whoever the new president is going to be for the September meeting. And the third thing that I had was, are we starting the ice cream social at 6 o'clock?
That's what we've done in the past.
Okay, I just wanted to double check, because there'll be maps and more details and so on. So we'll still have the white elephant and the ice cream social, sign up sheets, whatever needs to be necessary. Are there any other questions? As I said, the logos were just culled down to, I I did the newsletter, and I think it was just 4 of them, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay, and then Menomonee has to be spelled correctly in that
Okay.
in B. So yeah, otherwise it's a totally different place. Does anybody have any questions for me before I go totally insane?
I have a comment, Ellen.
Yeah.
Just a reminder that next month's social is going to be a week later than our regular camera club night.
July 8th, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Okay, that should be correct in this month's newsletter. So and I just wanted to verify the time that it was starting. And so I will meet, I'll get a map together. I'll talk to Jeff later on this month or in the next couple of weeks, and we'll make sure that happens.
Yeah,
So
we can meet at the pavilion. That gives us a lot of cover, and there's electrical out there if we need it. And if it gets rainy or bad, we can always move to the public house,
okay.
which
So
is right next door to it and
okay.
enclosed.
So those were the 3 things. The photos got a little confusing this month because we don't have a physical Zoom meeting in July, so Lene can't show them. And I wanted to verify the information for start time for the ice cream social. And just to let you know that these are the final 4 choices that we picked, but I am looking for like more real feedback. I mean, you can only type so much, but I thought we would have a display of the logos and then we can just talk with the people with comment sheets and so on, because this is something that I know we're going to say, basically, we're probably going to have it forever. Okay. I mean, that's really what it amounts to. Something temporary turns out to be like 30 years in the future. And yes, we're still working on our septic system. So hopefully they chopped a lot of trees down, but I'm this last 6 months is sucked to the max for me. Okay.
I did want to ask one question is, would it be, if we have electrical at July? I could still even, because I'm so good with technology, but I've done this at career fairs, just bring a TV that we could just run the slideshow. So the slideshow could be going on in the background. I don't know if September meeting, do we have too much with so many slideshows? So we could still, the June challenge, I believe, is the countryside and barns.
Well, all I've got to say is there were so many photos for this
Right.
particular, which was flowers and macro. Either we got to separate those two or whatever, because I did fit all 65 in there. But
And I know I don't have them all. Right.
I, I think they should have been sent to you, but I was having trouble sending, which actually means my computer needs to be tossed because it's 5 years old and not as working as well either. So there we go.
Well, I guess I throw that out, I'd be more than happy to just take because it's beautiful weather out. The barns are gorgeous right now, to take those photos and have them just showing, while we're socializing, just something to take a look at.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't I will contact you within the next week and we can discuss that further, Linnea. Okay,
Okay,
because
sounds good.
you're still president until what, September 1st?
I
Yep.
thought tonight was really it, but whatever.
No,
Yes,
you're in it till next year.
I am
Okay.
excited. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So we can decide that. But yeah, if that works, that might not be a bad idea. Then we can have at least the barns and country roads showing, excuse me, in the background as well. All right.
Hmm.
Have a good meeting. I'm going to end up watching it on, excuse me, on YouTube. But right now, I think I need to get a drink of water. Okay. All right. Bye, all.
Thanks, Ellen. Bye.
Sure. Bye.
Um, okay, that is July 8th. Oh, the only other thing that I saw upcoming in June, next time we get together, is the Kick Up the Dust, the rodeo. And Jesse, that's you who really lead that, or how would I say? I guess the whole show, not the whole show, but the field
I
trip
brought
thing.
it up maybe, gosh, probably 5 years ago that I started going to that. And I just bought my ticket today, so I'm planning on going. And of course, it is rain or shine. They hold the rodeo.
Your pictures have been absolutely stunning from there. Really cool. Yeah, if anybody has any specific questions on the rodeo, please contact Jesse because it just looks really neat. Super neat. Jeff, I guess before the slideshows. Oh, and also too, Jeff, you mentioned that we have a guest.
I believe Mark Zalicki, right, Mark? You're the one that contacted me.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Yes,
Welcome to our club.
Hi, Mark.
as I mentioned to Jeff, I'm a longtime resident of the Falls and been getting into photography much more as a hobbyist seriously the past 10 years, and thought, you know what, it'd be nice to join a community of other people who can just share and learn and just have fun with it. So Jeff was nice enough to invite me to this meeting, so I'm just listening and watching and taking it all in.
Oh, excellent. Well, please join us in July, for our ice cream social so you can meet us all in person.
Yes, I was salivating during the discussion, but unfortunately, we're going to be out of town on vacation. So we'll have to catch up with that maybe next time.
And pizza in December. Okay, just put
All
it on
right.
your calendar.
Pizza
Okay.
works.
All right. Well, welcome, Mark. Nice to have you
Thank you.
here.
Thank you, everyone.
Jeff, do you want to go over any PSA or Wacko digital forum news?
Digital Forum, which is the fourth Saturday of each month. We have Jim Karofsky talking about lighting up a photograph or editing it in a way that draws your attention to specific areas. I then have Daniel Gregory scheduled for July. He is going to either be talking about fine art portfolios or black and white photography. I haven't quite picked which one yet. We're still working on that, so that's in July. August, I will have Jamie Karofsky Davidson talking about Lens Babies. She's a spokesperson for Lens Babies, and she's going to tell us about the basics again, because Lens Babies are an interesting lens and can do quite a bit of different things, but it takes a lot of explanation on how they work and that. So we have her coming. I don't have anything scheduled after that, so I'll be working on that more. Wacko itself. Don't really have any new announcements right now. They're working on Birds of Prey for in fall in October. We have the fall competition that you should start getting ready for. That will open up in August and will be in November. And that's about it. PSA, they've just finished their season, so there's nothing going on right now. They have their board meeting in the middle of July, and we'll be planning their whole season out in July. Just like we sort of plan our whole season out in August, they do theirs in July. So there's nothing new with PSA. Ken, can you think of anything for Wacko that I'm missing?
Yeah, we haven't got a date yet, but we'll be doing our sunflower field trip sometime in the middle of August. They talked about also having a trip up to Green Bay for the tall boats,
Oh, that's right.
tall sailboats. I know there was something else, but I can't
Forget the Brian
remember.
Hansel workshop
What's
in
that?
Minnesota.
Oh, yeah, Brian Hansel has a workshop in Minnesota. I don't know if it still has space or not. I haven't.
It was
I
about
said-
half full, maybe a little more. There's still room
Okay.
for 4 or 5 people probably, last I heard.
Yeah,
So,
he's an
Elizabeth,
excellent leader and it would be an
Yeah.
excellent workshop. It's I think it's over 3 days. It's reasonably priced and there's plenty to see along the North Shore of Minnesota.
Yeah, I think I sent that out to everybody a few weeks ago. Elizabeth, is there anything else that I'm forgetting? 'Cause you
I
know
don't think
better
so.
than I do.
Jeff,
I covered it.
Jeff, I have a question. Do they have the special category selected for the competition yet?
There are special categories for it.
Maybe Elizabeth knows that.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, just continue on and I'll get you that in a minute. I'll put it in the chat.
We are working on 2 new categories. One is for smartphone photography, and the other will be a permanent creative altered reality, although it may be called something else. We still have to set that all up. Yeah, I don't have my notes from that meeting, so.
No, I'll put it in the chat when I find it.
Okay, that sounds good. I can't for the life of me remember it.
Oh, wait, I think I have it right here. Let me see. Except it takes forever for my Word to open. Oh, all right. So fall of 2025, nature special category is animals, and the open special category is tabletop still life.
Okay.
Does animals include tarantulas?
No, I believe those are insects.
No.
Yeah.
Well, they're not, they're arachnids, but that's okay.
Yeah. I think that, I don't know. Does that fall?
You'd have to go to the Wacko
I think
website and see the definition. Look it up.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I think because it has 8 legs, it doesn't qualify under the animal category, if I remember right. But yeah, we'll have that all up on the website soon, hopefully, so that you could check it out.
Okay.
Once I get together with Elizabeth so we can get it up on the website.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Division descriptions. So animals can include live, wild, captive, or domesticated land-based mammals. Images captured at zoos, game farms, and the like are permitted. Birds, insects, reptiles, and amphibians are excluded. Under insect, reptiles, and amphibians, we have spiders listed. So that falls under insects, reptiles, and amphibians.
So they will not be allowed, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. I thought we had an insect category. Okay, so I think that's all we have for Wacko, Linnea, and
Okay, sounds
PSA.
good. Well, unless there's any other news right now, then I almost think, Mark, if you're ready, would you like to start off the slideshow presentation tonight?
Oh, and maybe after we do those shows, I do have the results of the PSA Club's showcase that I can show, which we adjudged. When did we judge that? January, I think.
Okay. As many of you know, we moved down to Florida about 5 years ago. I've been a longtime member of the club up there and looked for clubs down here in Florida. There aren't any. So I've been really happy to be able to keep up with this particular group as long as we have the video capabilities. So now I'm going to try and share my screen here. And I'm going to give you a perspective. You should be seeing a big thing that says Silver Springs. Are you
We're just seeing your Finder window, Mark.
all right. Do you see the list of all of the photos there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I think if you open that, you'll be okay.
He might just be sharing the Windows Explorer.
Right, he might just be sharing the Finder window.
All right. How do I get out of that then?
You'll have to stop sharing and then reshare. Make sure you're sharing just your whole screen and not an app.
All right.
So that should be the first window in the share button.
All right. There's the share thing now.
Jeff, you might want to stop his share forum so you can
Yeah,
see it.
I'm just going to that now. So there we go.
Okay.
Now you should be able to reshare again, Mark.
Now do you see the big one?
It's getting there.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. How do I then?
There should be an arrow on the far right side if you move your cursor over some more.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
So
there it is.
I'm going to give you a perspective of coming to Florida, but not going to a theme park or the beach. Most people who come down to Florida go to the theme parks, they go see the mouse or somebody like that, or they go to a beach. And one of the things that we found is there's really a lot of things in Florida that people used to go to and they don't anymore. So this is one. Florida's Silver Springs was one of those original attractions. If you came down in the 50s and 60s, you would have seen this. It's now been turned into a state park. And you can go on these boats that take you out over the springs, which are really sinkholes. And they put a glass bottom in. And so you can see the fish swimming around underneath. And so that's one of the things that would have happened if you had visited Florida many, many years ago. And the state has taken over most of those and turned them into parks. Another one is the famous Weeki Wachee Springs, which has the mermaid show. And they still do that. And they still have the mermaids that get down below. And they have this breathing tube. And whenever they need to get a breath of fresh air, they can do that. Another one was they used to have a Florida wild animal park. And they had the cougar, the Florida panther, the manatees, and the black bears. These were all animals that had been injured, couldn't survive in the wild anymore. You used to have to pay a lot of money to go, but now it's a state park and it's not that expensive. We live in Lakeland, which is about halfway between Tampa and Orlando. And in Lakeland, there is the Florida Southern College, which is the largest single site collection of Frank Lloyd Wright architecture in the world. Many, many of the campus buildings were designed by Wright back in the 30s and 40s. This is one of the chapels. And the whole thing is really a connected series of walkways so that it's a developed plan so you can walk from one building to another by going through the Frank Lloyd Wright canopy there. He has this water dome feature, which, if it's fully operating, the water here turns into a gigantic dome effect over the central plaza. It costs a lot of money and uses a lot of water, so they don't do it very often, but they do have this little intermediate show going on. And then this is the Usonian building, which is used for meetings, but they've even named one of the main streets for Frank Lloyd Wright. So if you're interested in that type of architecture, Lakeland is the place to come and see lots and lots of Frank Lloyd Wright designed buildings. Another major attraction is the Bach Tower Gardens. Edward Bach was a philanthropist. He actually made his money back in the early 1900s. He was the longtime editor of the Ladies' Home Journal and generated lots and lots of money. So he built the Carillon Tower and then had Frederick Law Olmsted Jr. design the grounds all the way around. So it's a very interesting place. We were walking there. in March when the azaleas were blooming, and it was really quite attractive. They have it set up where you can actually, oops, back up. Where's my backup? You can actually see the carillon player as he's doing it by way of video, and then he comes down out of the tower and will talk to people. And then here's some more of the views of the azaleas. This is the plant museum now. Around 1890, this was put together as the Tampa Hotel. It was only open from December to March. And all of the wealthy people from New York and Boston and places like that would come down here. It was surrounded by 110 acres. They had a golf course, swimming pools, all sorts of things. By now, it's smack in the middle of downtown Tampa. And the only thing that's left is this hotel, and they've turned it into a museum. And at Christmas time, they have it all decorated in Victorian style. So that was kind of an interesting thing to do. This is the Ca d'Azan in Sarasota, which is the Ringling Mansion. When the Ringling brothers left Baraboo, they moved down to Sarasota, and all of their circus material came down to Sarasota. Later on, John Ringling built this as his mansion, and it's very interesting on the inside. You can take a tour. They have another building that's set up with a model of a miniature circus. So again, that's something that is certainly not beach related. In Lakeland, we have the Sun and Fun, which is the sister function for the EAA Air Adventure. And so every year we get either the Thunderbirds or the Blue Angels come and put on a show. And our house is basically just north of the airport, so we always go up to our clubhouse, sit in the parking lot, and we get these kinds of shots of the jets flying overhead. You definitely need ear protection because they fly right over the top of our buildings. And then you get the interesting distribution of the aircraft. Lakeland is known as the Swan City. In the 1950s, Queen Elizabeth of Britain donated a bunch of swans, and they installed them in Lake Morton, and that's become synonymous. They have swan statues now all over the city. But Lake Morton is also where all of the white pelicans come. If you have white pelicans up north and they migrate south, this is where they come, and we have just scads of the white pelicans around. And they make an interesting shot. I found out when I started taking photos that their feathers on the wings are actually black. This was an interesting shot of a bird. I think the bird was probably white, but I liked the blue cast. So I didn't mess with the white balance or anything. I just left it with that sort of blue cast, but I like the bird in flight. Some more of the swans. And then Lakeland is also the home of the Circle B Bar Reserve. This was a former cattle ranch where they had dredged it out so that they could turn it from swamp into ranch land. And then the county, about 25 years ago, bought the ranch, and they've worked to restore it as the swamp. And it's a great place to go for shots of water birds and, of course, alligators. This isn't the greatest photo, but we have these roseate spoonbills, and I realized that their tail feathers are actually a bright orange. I'm still trying to get a much better photo of the spoonbills. They're they're not real common around us. This is just some of the looks of the swamp. Florida has a resident population of sandhill cranes. They're not migratory, they're here all year round. And so we get a chance to shoot those. In our community, we actually have a family of 4 of them wandering around. So we've had 4 sandhill cranes in our backyard on several occasions. This happens to be out at Circle B. I find that the flowers and the berries and so on are very different in Florida. I know we're doing flowers for the show. I didn't submit any, but I've got a few to show. Flowers in Florida are just different than the Florida flowers up in Wisconsin. I'm not sure what these are, but we never saw things like this up in Wisconsin. These are all just growing in various gardens and so on. Even the orchids just grow out outside 12 months a year. This is an interesting butterfly that has a bright red thorax. I don't know what kind it is, but it was pretty interesting. We actually got this photo up at the Bach Tower. And then on Memorial Day, we actually went out and did a hike through Circle B. And I hadn't submitted anything in the Boca submissions a couple of months ago, but this one turned out really good with the stark dead plant with the dragonfly on it. And then you probably missed it up there in Wisconsin, but last Thursday was National Alligator Day. And so again, when we were out at Circle B, I managed to get this particular guy. I don't know if he was trying to go incognito or whatever, but I thought that was a kind of an interesting way to finish things up. So that sort of gives you an idea of what I've been up to since we moved down here to Florida. And I will stop sharing.
That was great, Mark. Thank you very much. Randy, are you ready?
I am. So do I unmute it and then hit share, right?
Right. And pick the first window. That should be your main desktop.
It's not showing. Like it just shows a
Yeah, you had it for a second and then it went away. So try sharing again.
there.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yep, it's a bluebird.
Correct.
Wow, and I don't know my birds, so.
So for some reason, though, it doesn't allow me to do a full screen. How is
I
that?
think.
Are you seeing a full screen or?
No, we're seeing your side. Try hitting F, I think.
That's what I've been doing, but it doesn't do it. Okay.
Okay, the other thing you could do is there's little arrows on each panel, all the way over on the far right and left side, and you just click on those arrows and the panels will disappear. Otherwise, it's.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
There you go.
So yes, this is an eastern bluebird. I actually, about 10 years ago, I used to own a wild bird store in West Bend called the Wild Bird Crossing, and I just kind of a lot of my pictures are going to be of birds, and so I've had these bluebirds nesting in our yard for 36 years, and this is a male. I feed them bluebird or mealworms, and then this was one fall. This is all the babies coming back. If you can look in the very back, that's the dad looking at me, and then the baby coming in. But
Hmm.
this There's a cedar waxwing that I had one winter in my yard. And then there's a park in West Bend called Loch Lomond. They actually have a lot of birds that you can go through there during migration. And one day I was just walking on the trail, and this baby owl was just sitting right off the trail. I don't even know how I saw it because it blended in, but I just happened to see it. But mom wasn't too far away, so I didn't want to get too close. These birds actually in my store, I used to have birds of prey that would come in. I had people would show them, and these owls, their talons are like razor blades. When they would catch a rabbit, they actually just would slice right down the middle, grab the guts out, and take away with the baby with the rabbit. And that's how sharp their talons are. So you don't want to get real close. This is actually a ruby crowned kinglet. He thought he was getting away with not seeing me, but I saw him peeking through the branches. This was actually taken at Warnerman Park. Um, and this I took this year. This is a yellow-throated vireo. This bird actually goes to South America, and they come down up here, for nesting. It was actually you don't see these too often, so it was a kind of a cool shot. Uh, this is a northern parula, also a bird that would go into South America and come up here for their nesting. They would go all the way up into Canada. So you start seeing them migrate all the way up into Wisconsin and into Canada all the way up. It's kind of amazing. And I mean, these birds can live 12 to 15 years, and this happens every year. It just amazes me that they can do this. This is a blue-gray gnatcatcher. Also, I took that at Warnemont Park. A great place to see birding, when migrants are going through. This was taken actually at Mothy Lake this year. This is a palm warbler, and kind of a cool bird. You kind of see them. They always flick their tail, so that's what you'll see the brown on the top, and then the yellow, but they're always usually flicking their tail. So that's how you know if it's a palm warbler by their tail flipping. This is a hummingbird that I took out of our yard. This is a female. And this was actually taken at Prairie du Sac. I don't, I've probably heard of the place to go see the eagles is in between January and February. But I had these geese coming in, and it was kind of a cool them landing. And this was actually taken at Fort Washington. I mean, and the only reason I'm showing this is what is the chances of getting this dropping? It was kind of a a strange thing, but it was you don't always see that, but just happened to take it. This was actually taken at Lake this was actually at Lake Michigan again. And it's just the reason it's so cool is this, and this is what it ended up looking at. And it actually looks like it continues because of the reflection, but what a strange, I just kind of happened to take two shots in a row, and that was the second shot. This is actually taken right off Highway 45. There's a nest right off Holy Hill Road, and not wise sometimes to go and take a picture off the freeway. Matter of fact, I did get a cop that came on. He was intrigued that I was doing it, but he said it wasn't really a safe place to do it. But if you want a good picture of eagles, Timbers in West Bend, the restaurant, if you go to their dock and you look towards the Timbers restaurant, and off to your right, there's a nesting pair of eagles that you can walk right underneath the nest. You can take the walking path. It's actually spectacular. We were just there for fish fry last week, and it's pretty cool. The baby's in there right now, but it's a cool place to get close to them. This was kind of off the freeway, so it's kind of dangerous, but I happened to catch the two of them coming in together. This is another female hummingbird. This is actually called a Texas plume flower. Very aggressive. So I had someone come in my store and gave me these seeds. And it's really cool because the whole yard, in July, my whole yard is full of these. I mean, I swear I have every hummingbird in Washington County in my yard. It's amazing. There are hummingbirds everywhere on these flowers. They just love them. This is also out of my yard. This is a white crown sparrow. And then I also like airplanes or jets. I'm a private pilot. I've been flying since '86. So this is the Blue Angels over the lakefront one year, and also the Thunderbirds last year, and took some shots of that. And I like this with the flag coming in. And another thing I like taking pictures is fireworks, and this is actually Oshkosh or EAA. Their night air show was really spectacular. I happened to get that. And this is actually Kewaskum's firework. I actually went off a Highview Road, and so I was actually quite a ways. You could see Kewaskum from the distance, and I got some pictures of that. And this is actually Door County. Yes, I do take pictures of sunsets. We were in Hawaii once, and a strange storm built up. It wasn't forecast, and it literally rained all day. We ended up getting about 6 inches of rain, but just before the sunset, this is what the sunset looked like. This is the beginning. The next three pictures are going to be from this. So this was the first shot, second shot, third shot, and then this one I did like a time exposure. You can kind of see the trees kind of moving and then the waves moving. But it was I never actually saw a sunset like that in my life. The sky just turned vibrant. I also like taking pictures of close up. This is actually out of a Rebecca flower, and the bee. I just kind of thought it was cool how the eye of the bee looked. Especially in here, you can kind of see the eye pretty good. And then I was amazed at this, how I got this. This is a dragonfly. I was actually 5 foot away from this thing, and I took this picture, and it's actually looking at me. It actually appears to look at me. Now, I did also get one that had caught a mosquito, and it's flying at me, and it had caught this mosquito. So the mosquito's actually in its mouth, but it's kind of not as sharp as this one. So I didn't want to show that one, but this is actually a Korean dogwood flower just before it pops. And then mushroom. This is actually in Osage Beach. We go to Lake of the Ozarks, and it's an Osage Beach. There's a park called Ha Ha Tonka State Park, and there's all these different trails that you can take, and I'll walk in the trail. I saw the mushroom, and then I also saw this turtle, and the turtle had actually been eating the mushroom. That's what's all over its face. It was unreal. Evidently, it's not poisonous for turtles. And I also like going to Elkhart Lake. This is actually in August that I believe it's called. Maybe you can help me with this, Jeff. I think it's the IMS, but it's with the Corvettes and the Ferraris. This was taken in Door County. I just liked how the clouds and just kind of, this actually ended up in a calendar. I submitted it to where my wife was working at a printing company, and they used this for their calendar one year, which was kind of cool. And they said the reason they picked it, oddly enough, is because of this leaf that's on this bark. As you go up this tree, you can see that little leaf sticking. I thought, but all the strange reasons why you pick it, that's why they picked it, though. This is also a Hawaii shot. We were actually in a distance, and you can see this rain cloud come through with the sun. I kind of thought it was kind of a neat looking shot. And this is right out of our hotel. It almost looks black and white, but then you got the blue, and it just turned out like that with the glycerine water. It was taken around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I kind of like how that turned out. This is also at the Tonka State Park in Lake of the Ozarks. It's in Missouri. It's Camden is where Camden. It's like Osage Beach area, and it's really cool. It's a cool walking trails, and this is you kind of walk up and you're high up on these bluffs, and then there's this house or mansion, I should say, that was built in the 20s, and then in 1942 it burned down. And actually, the guy killed himself when it burned down. And you can get some really cool shots of this, with the blue sky and coming through there. You can walk around this. There's trails to walk all around. You can't or actually walk in there. Years ago, I guess you couldn't go in there, but then there were vandals that were going in there and doing damage. So now they have it fenced off, but you can still get some pretty good pictures. This is actually near Branson, Missouri. It's actually owned by Bass Pro Shop. It's called Dogwood Canyon Park. It actually costs to go in it, but it's not that expensive, but it is very well worth it. They take you on a little tramp, not like it's pulled by a pickup truck, but it's like a little trailer, and you can get some really good. You can walk it and it doesn't cost you. But if it's kind of a long walk, and they take you through this park, but it's owned by Bass Pro Shop. It's actually pretty cool, really cool. They raise trout there, and they have all these famous people that come in there and trout fish. You can pay to do it, but it's not cheap. And they got some really nice, like record trout come out of these ponds. This was just walking one day, and I think I was at Loch Lurron, and I just had the sun coming through there, fall shot. And then there's I guess you could call it a zoo, but it's called Shalom Wildlife, and I'm not sure if any of you have heard about it. It's actually a great place to go. They have some very rare animals. They actually have the largest elk in captivity, and I got to know these people when I had my bird store, and it's inexpensive. You pay to get through it, but you can take a tram, or you can like take a golf cart, or you can walk it. And it's not really that big of a walk, but they have really some unique animals. This isn't an albino. They have a herd of these white deer, and there's signs there to explain. I can't exactly remember what they call them, but they have all sorts of uh, unique animals. They did have one of the largest Krugers in stock, but it actually killed its mate, and they had to put it down for some reason. But it was a big animal. This was also taken at Shalom Wildlife. It's right off of Highway 144, and you'll see the signs. And it's a really, if you have something that want to kill some time and take some pictures, it's actually a cool park, and you get some really cool animals there. And then lastly, what I have is you might have seen it in the newsletter, but I've been flying since 1986, and I always fly over Holy Hill every fall. And I've never seen Holy Hill look so beautiful except for this day. And I just, that's just a nice shot of how it turned out. And basically, that's it.
Pretty good.
Thank you.
Wow. Randy, that was educational and gorgeous. And
Thank you.
didn't the group probably about 4 or 5 years ago, didn't we do a Shalom field trip?
I think at one time the group might have gone, but I think more than 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. You know what? Actually, I think it was something maybe then with Canon lenses or whatever, and then they encouraged you to use the big telephoto lens to get that shot. But that would be really neat if anybody would ever be interested in doing it like in the fall again. I mean, I would love to head that up if
I'd go along, and yep, it's a neat little zoo, and they've got some pretty cool some really cool wolves there, and they
Wow.
always get new animals in there.
Yeah. They should be having a litter of tiger cubs really soon. I follow them on Facebook.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And and they breed tigers.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
It's a neat little place, and I got to know the owners really well, and they're really nice people. So, and I think you get ice cream at the end. They give
Oh,
you a
wow.
little dish of ice cream.
Now I'm in for sure.
You're sold.
I think they've actually put in like a snack bar where you can get sandwiches and stuff too now.
Okay. Well, I hear three say yes, so we'll bring that up in our August meeting to see if we can't fit it in the schedule. Um, thank you. Thank you both, Mark and Randy, for that. Jeff, did you want to go through the results of the scoring?
Yeah, yeah. Let me show you the PSA's club showcase. So everybody should be seeing that title screen.
Yes.
Okay. So every year we have the Wisconsin PSA Club Showcase. It's conducted by Bonnie Zaduma, part of PSA, and she collects all the images, and then we, of course, had judged them. I believe there was a total of 7 images that are submitted by each club. I believe there is a total of, let's see, the next slide has, I think it's 12 clubs. They just gave me this PDF file, so it's really hard to, I can't do a down page real well. Maybe that'll work. So they're all PSA member clubs, just like we are. They place all the images, and they've got a first through 5 for the best images, plus the first 3 clubs. So each club, of course, scored it. Like I said, we did that in January, I believe. That's what we spent 45 minutes on. And then we sent all the score sheets to Bonnie, and she tallies them all up and comes up with the winning clubs. So there were 12 participating clubs this year for 2025. You can see the list there on the side. We're right in the middle. And they also have the top 25 scoring individual images, and the 7 images of the third, second, and first place clubs are presented here. The third place club was Focal Point up in about mid-Wisconsin area. I believe it's like around Wapaka and that. Here are the different images that they submitted, and they took third place. Oh, I don't know why it jumped so far. They have Beaver Creek. What in the world? Let me get back. It jumped way to the end. I do not like that they do it this way, but it was the only way I could get it off. So the third place club was Focal Point. I'll go back to my mouse and see if that works better. So they've got, these are their 7 images. We came in second this year. Last year we came in first. The year before we came in third. So we've now covered the first, second, and third place areas. We did have a nice selection of images. Ken and I picked the images from the last competition or 2 to try to get the best images we can find for our club. And of course, we had a lot of good ones. We have a lot of good variety. First place club was Beaver Creek. They seem to be the club that wins first place the most. I don't know how we managed to beat them last year, but we did. They do have a number of very good images. I thought this was really an interesting image. Don't see that kind too often.
Where is Beaver Creek?
I'm not even sure where they're at. I think they're in northern Wisconsin somewhere. Then these are the top 5 images for individual awards. We got Battle in Midair. We have Charcoal Impressions, Moose Calling, and of course Jane Hurst's Bluebird and Mountain Ash. And first place, Jane took second place in the individual awards, and first place was Red Fox Jumping in Snow. So of course we always want to thank Bonnie Zaduma. She does all the work of collecting the images, tabulating the images, and giving the results. The results were just announced at the last PSA outing that was held in Dubuque, Iowa. So we did pretty well. Like I said, we've taken first place, second place, and third.
Hey, Jeff, I have a
Yep.
question.
Sure.
You know the images that we grade during our Christmas party?
The prints, the
Yeah,
print showcase. I haven't gotten those results back yet. Haven't heard how those went.
okay.
I would think we're going to hear about those real soon. I should try to send Mary Dumont.
Yeah, I think they're running a little late in judging that, Jeff. I think they had so many different clubs judging it that they had to prolong it a little bit. So it may be a little more time yet.
Yeah, that could be. I know we had quite a few different judges, clubs entering, so it might have gotten pushed. But I mean, now we've usually been done by March, and it's June already. But yeah, that's probably the case. We should be hearing maybe by the time we hit fall, when it's time to enter it again.
The last club to judge is June 26th.
Oh, okay.
Everyone's done. Racine is supposed to judge on the 12th, and then it goes out to Janesville for the 26th.
Yeah, so then that's pretty late. So we'll probably hear about that in September. Maybe after the August delegates meeting, we'll hear. So that's the PSA Club Showcase results. Coming in second place out of 12 clubs. That's pretty good.
Beautiful photos. Jeff, suggestion. We have the club showcase, then we have this month's challenge, and then we also have the officers. Should we do the showcase right now?
Well, we just did the PSA Club Showcase.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jane's presentation.
Yeah,
The
we got
close-
Jane's. We should do Jane's last. Why don't we do the voting on the officers for next year and get that done,
sounds
because that should be relatively simple. And if you like, I can get started with that.
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Okay, well, Elizabeth Wickham is our current vice president. With the way our rules work, she will now in September take over as president. Unless we think Linnea should redo again until she can get her doing the screen sharing right.
I'll work on it secretly behind the scenes.
It'll be Elizabeth's test as well. So
I'm calling Clint. I'm just saying.
yep. So we all seem to have problems with it. So, but So I reached out, and Bernard Hall has graciously accepted to be vice president. Bernard, do you want to just tell us a little bit? I know you've been a member a long time now. If you can just give a short little biop.
Well, I started with photography back in the film days with a Canon AE1. I still shoot Canon. I tried some Sony point and or shoots, and I couldn't figure out the 3x, 2x, whatever. So I went back to a DSLR. I like to shoot black and white, scenery, animals. I also do what I call period photography, like if I go to Old World, Wisconsin, or a Civil War reenactment, that I try to compose a picture of what people may have seen back in that time and try to post-process it that way. And I think I've been a member, I think, since before the pandemic. I don't know exactly how many years, so it would be, say, at least 5. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the next year.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks for volunteering. We have Pat Lynch as treasurer. He's accepted to stay on. Ellen as newsletter editor, I should say. And I'll stay on as secretary. So if we can get a motion from somebody for a ballot for all those positions.
Yeah, motion that.
Okay, is that Clint?
Second.
Yep.
Ken Warning, second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hold their
Aye.
hands up, whatever. Anybody opposed? Anybody who's opposed gets the job next time. Great. Well, thanks everybody, and thanks Bernard for stepping up. That really made it a lot easier this year since I got a late start on it.
Sure.
And I know you'll do a good job. Our next meeting after the July meeting is the executive board and past presidents will get together in August, and we will plan out the whole year. So that makes it a lot easier for the president. All the president really has to do is take care of the president's challenge and run the meeting, which,
And it's screen sharing.
yeah, and learning screen sharing. So that's it. We can move on to whatever you'd like to do next, whichever
I'm
one.
thinking it's time for me to try and screen share.
Okay.
Okay, so we had the President's Challenge for the month of May, shooting during May and then showing tonight, was flowers and or macro. Normally when I put together the slideshow presentations, I'll use 2 programs, Canva, which is free, and if you haven't dabbled with it, it's fun. I mean, you could put together great slideshows for your family. I do have the pro version because I would use it a lot for our band advertising. But then I would take that, and then I have a video software, which is called Cyberlink, and I would make videos for the band, and then I'd put it in there and add in the music. Well, today, because I procrastinated, which is not a trait of a good president, it's not, I didn't have time to render the videos. So today I'm just using completely Canva. And again, free product. I really recommend playing around with it if ever you want to try a video, grandchildren or whatever, it's just cool. So I don't know what we're gonna get, but we're gonna give it a try. So Jeff, I'm doing the share sound. I'm going to my screen, and then the next is going to be a mystery. So stick with me, please.
Make sure you click sound.
I have share sound,
Yep,
screen
yep.
2, little
Good.
picture, share, and then I'm going to have to do a little bit in my Canva to get it hopefully working.
Well, we look like we see it.
Working?
And we got music. Yay.
Okay, just pretend the music's still going.
Lee?
And that would be it.
Wow.
That was a rough end, but I think it made it through. You know, I do have just some disclaimers though. Jeff, I spelled your last name wrong. I am so sorry. The photos tonight too, I noticed both Ellen and I post the same challenge. She puts hers in the newsletter and I put them online. When I went through my emails and then I saw Ellen's newsletter, I realized I was missing a lot of some really cool pictures that she had. So she sent me what she could, her with her septic system and me just procrastinating. And so I know I don't have all of the really great photos. And the other question I have for you guys, if I credited one of your photos to somebody else, I completely apologize. When I was going through my rough draft, I realized I did that. Please send me a message because I'd like to get that corrected. And then maybe I can just even throw that in the slideshow for July, you know, just to have it there. So, but gorgeous work, absolutely beautiful photos. And I would suggest make that challenge the same for every single month during the 2025-26 year, because the amount of photos that we got for that challenge was great. It was wonderful. After that, Jeff, should we do the annual challenge?
Yeah, we might as well do the
Okay.
Jane, you're up, I guess.
Hey. So two things, I have to select the video part too, or the sound part?
Sound and video.
Okay. Oh, I don't think I didn't see anything that said sound.
Well, try it. We're seeing your cat in your full screen, so you can
Okay.
try it, see what happens, and if we don't get sound, we'll have you try again.
Okay. You hearing sound?
Nope.
Okay.
They keep moving it around, but it's usually on the
I see that. Okay.
side.
Yep. All right. Okay. Just gonna go.
Well, thank you, Jane, for putting that together. That was incredible. Man, the talent that's in this club.
Yeah, we have a very talented club. We do so well in the Wacko competitions and in a lot of other the competitions. So yeah, we're very quite a bit of talent here.
What's great is we have great variety of talent too, and that just not one, let's say all nature, it's just all across the board.
Yep, I think we're probably the most generic club out there. Most of them are strictly nature, but we do a lot more.
Jeff, we have time. Do you want to open up for questions and answers out of our, like, for the smart people in this group?
Sure, we can do that. I do have one thing that I brought up a long time ago about the club changing the meeting date. So I bring that up real quick to see what everybody thinks, and then we can discuss it at our board meeting in August. But it looks like after going back and forth with the village quite a bit, they would like me to be planning commissioner. And I will find out for certain in the next week or so. So we either need to move our club a week later, because of course our planning commission in the Menomonee Falls meets the first Tuesday of the month at 6:30. So it makes it real hard. If it was even 7, I could probably start the meeting, turn it over to whoever, and then they could run the meeting for the rest of the night. And I can probably still do that. There's a couple people I would trust with my Zoom passwords. And we could just keep it the first Tuesday of the month. But if you want me around, and you don't need me here, but I'm certainly always happy to be here and help. If we could move it to the second Tuesday of the month or the third, it really doesn't make too much difference there. Does anybody have a problem with that?
I cannot on the second Tuesday of the month.
What is on the second Tuesday?
I have a commitment and would
Oh,
never.
you do?
Yep.
Okay, well, then that doesn't work.
I also would not, every other second Tuesday, I would be gone. Third Tuesdays would work fine for me.
Well, we could go, how about the third Tuesday of the month? Man.
That works for me.
I mean, it's important for the president to be able to be here. So I will let everybody know, and we will discuss it at the August planning meeting. And I think the board can make a final decision there with it. Unless somebody thinks of a different day of the week too. It doesn't have to be the Tuesday, but generally Tuesdays seem to be a good day for everybody. And I'm sorry that I end up having to do it, but it's being on the planning commission for a village is for me a lot of fun. It's almost as much fun as photography, unless you get some of the controversial stuff that pops up once in a while. But I love the planning part that goes into planning commission, and their planning commission for the village of Menomonee Falls is so much simpler than what Richfield had gone through. So I'm really sort of looking forward to it, although I'm probably a little nuts taking on one more project, but they've been running without, and they really need somebody bad, and I stepped up for it. So with that, if somebody has a question, problem, I'll try to answer it. We got a number of great experts here. Or if you've got suggestions for the planning group for in August of speakers, or activities that we should do so that we can start plugging that into our schedule, because I will actually be starting to work on that in about a week, probably a week and a half, because I do have World War II coming up at Old Falls Village Park on Father's Day weekend. Oh. Which we got a couple of battles going each day. Should be a lot of fun.
Any questions?
This
Pretty
group
quiet.
is really quiet. I don't think I can song and dance for 20 minutes here.
Hey, Jeff,
Jeff, what time does that World War II start?
It starts at 10 in the morning. There's a battle at 2 o'clock each day on Saturday and Sunday. Plus a lot of other activities going on during the whole day from 10 o'clock. We actually have a USO show on Friday night with music and a whole cast of players. That's free. Plus we'll have food and beer. And Saturday, and that will start around, I think it's 6 o'clock and goes till 9. It's like a 2 or 3 hour show. And then Saturday, it opens at 10, goes till about 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night. Again, during the day, we'll have all the soldiers there doing different things, and then the battles. And then at night, we have Command Performance, a big band that will be playing at night, and have food and beer and music. So, and then Sunday, it's 10 o'clock till about 4. $10 to get in, so it's not real expensive, and the admission fee helps keep the park going. So it's a lot of fun. I wish I could get out there and take pictures. So, but I tend to work the whole day there.
Just curious, John, I saw that you were just at Road America for the bikes, and then it looks like IndyCar's coming up in June. I was just curious if anybody was planning to be at Road America June 22nd for the IndyCar.
Yeah,
I will be.
Who
I
is
will
that?
be up there. I know Sunday. I don't know about Friday or Saturday quite yet, but it's the granddaughter's birthday that weekend, so.
I didn't think I'd be able to go that weekend, and I found out a couple hours ago that I think I can go that Sunday. So I'll probably go that Sunday is what I'll do.
Yeah. Yeah, I plan on it. I've got the tickets, so I had a great time this past weekend. Saturday was crazy busy. Indy is crazy busy, but
you just kind of have to put up with it, I guess.
I went the vintage car the opening weekend. That's the first time I'd ever gone up there. I had a really great time. So
Yeah. I saw your images. They were good.
thanks.
Yeah.
That's only the first 2,000 images of the 9,000 images I took that day. I'm still working through them.
Yes. Yeah. This
Pan,
weekend,
pan,
I
pan, 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 pan.
almost 6,000 photos over the 3 days, and I've got it down to less than 600. So,
Yeah.
it takes more time going through all that. But now maybe if I'm lucky, I can get it down another couple of hundred.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun at Road America.
Yeah.
It's only an hour away from here, so.
Yeah, my daughter had a soccer game like 2 minutes from it a year ago. And that's when I was just like, that's right. This is not that far away. I go farther to get to the Chicago Botanic Garden in the other direction. I
Yeah.
was like, I should come up here, and good opportunity to do some other stuff. And plus it's cool to walk through the paddock and do that stuff. And
Yeah, there's a lot of different options besides shooting just to race.
yeah, I mean, you can do people photography if you want to. There
Yeah.
are tons of fans and mechanics and race car drivers and etc. So
Yeah. Yeah, if anybody wants great experience, I suggest that they try to make it up there, at least for one day. Saturday will probably be the worst, but
worst as in the busiest.
yeah.
Why
Yeah.
Saturday? Why Saturday?
Well, isn't the main race on Saturday this time?
Oh, is that why?
It's on Sunday.
Yeah,
Is
I was gonna
it
say, I
Sunday?
think it's
Yeah.
Sunday.
I think it's Sunday, but people have to go to work on Monday, so they'll go up there Saturday and
Just hang out all day and party and yeah.
right. Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
That's kind of the way I've seen it in the past. Yeah.
And they have a lot of other races where it doesn't get quite as crowded. The Indy and I think NASCAR have always been pretty crowded races, but they've got quite a few others.
IMSA is the one that I'm really looking forward to.
Which one?
The IMSA, yeah.
Yeah,
Those are outside of Formula One. That's probably my favorite series.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great weekend.
Vintage was like dead. At least it felt dead to me. So, opening weekend, not Indy, NASCAR, IMSA cars. So probably a lower weekend, but it made a really good weekend to be like my first time up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would suggest. Those lesser weekends, if you will. If you're a first timer, it's so much easier to get around to all of the good spots. This last weekend on bike weekend, Saturday, was impossible to get anywhere. There was cycles and bicycles, and I mean it was just very difficult. So for a first timer, going on those off events is a great idea.
Nice. The car meetup that I mentioned I think I mentioned it last month down by the lakefront by the marina. They had so many cars show up. They took every spot in the marina lot. Cars were parking on the grass and stuff, and then the cops showed up and had to shoo them away. They're threatening to give them tickets or tow them. They actually did tow a car. The funny part being that car was like the car that got towed was just like a generic sedan. Like this wasn't like any fancy car that came for the car show. I have no idea why this person didn't move their car or where they went or whatever, but it got taken away on a flatbed, and they actually had to block off entrance into the marina because there's just no room. Cars were coming in, looking, cycling through, and leaving, but it was like a parade of cars. So I was just practicing panning shots on, Porsches and Mustangs and Corvettes and Lamborghinis. It was pretty awesome. The weather was great. So it was the biggest turnout they'd ever had for one of those.
So then where do you park, Ian, when it's so busy like that?
I get there before anybody else gets there, and I park my car. So I mean, it's just an open parking lot. It's just
Okay.
the marina parking lot, and the meetup is show up. Like it's not like this is like a gated thing or anything like that. It's just people show up and park in the lot and hang out. And I get there like at least a half hour before, typically before anyone's there. Although this time there were people already there. There were a couple people. But yeah, I just parked my car right in the lot and then I go get set up so I can catch everybody coming in. And I was practicing panning shots after I'd spent all day at Road America the week before doing panning shots. Practice panning shots on cars doing like 20 miles an hour. Very different than panning shots on a race car as far as how quick you have to move that camera and everything.
Is this every week, Ian, they do this?
It's called Cars and Coffee. So if you Google cars and or Facebook search Cars and Coffee Milwaukee, you'll find it. But it's at the lakefront marina downtown, and they do it at the end of the month. It's the last weekend of every month. They actually do a night meetup at 8 o'clock on Saturday, like 8 to 10, because at 10 o'clock the marina closes. So usually the cops come by and are like, all right, everyone's got to go, and everybody leaves. And then 9 to 1 is the Sunday one the following day. So next one is, was that June 28th, 8 to 10? That's Saturday, and then 9 to 1 on Sunday. I'll probably get down there like maybe 7:45, 8 o'clock a.m. on Sunday, just in case a lot of people start to show up early, because now everybody knows that a lot of people showed up. But it's cool. It's right on the lakefront. Just hang out.
You know, while you were talking, I looked up that Facebook page, and right away I see your gorgeous shots.
Thanks.
Those nice car.
Yeah, I posted for like a week straight. I still have tons of photos. That's all from just that one day.
Okay, stop looking.
They're also on Instagram too. If you're on Instagram instead of Facebook, you can look up Cars and
Okay.
Coffee Milwaukee.
Are there any topics that any of you would like us to cover next year? It gets really hard trying to pick out speakers when I'm not quite sure what everybody would like. Trying to find different things other than, plain old nature stuff.
Jeff, that one guy, by Wausau or Stevens Point, that guy that does the light painting, he's pretty good. Hart.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
But I know you mentioned that he might be pretty pricey, so I don't know if he'd
Yeah,
be
I don't know if he would do something for we basically look at a price range of $100 to $200 a speaker, because we have a limited budget.
correct.
That usually lets us get about 4 or 5 speakers then, and then we fill in with other speakers, from either the club or from other clubs around.
Because
And if you know even of somebody from a different club that would be willing to do a talk on something, that would be good.
Jeff, I don't know if anybody would be interested in it, but it's just Googling, topics for photo clubs. I love street photography because I do a lot of like crowd and people photography. But when it comes to street photography, I would be curious as to an aspect. If I'm doing an event, people are there for the event, so they expect pictures. But street photography to me would be so different because these people don't know who you are and why you have a camera and why you're looking at them. I don't know, to me, but I don't know if anybody else is interested in that.
I love street photography.
So then I think we should do that. There was a guy I watched today, YouTube guy. He's a photographer, I think in New York, and that he does street photography. He shoots random people and that take their pictures and that, and some of it's kind of cool, you know, like wow, that's pretty neat.
I follow a lady on YouTube that is an impressionistic street photographer where she'll intentionally move or intentionally out of focus her pictures of people on beaches or in downtown scenes, and those are pretty cool too.
Okay, Jeff, I missed did you say what his name was? You're coming in a little muffled.
I don't know. It's just some woman I follow from Europe. I think she is. I don't know her name offhand.
Ken, I think Tony Sweet did that stuff too, right? Wasn't that Sweet was his last name?
Oh, Tony Sweet?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he does a lot of ICM, intentional camera movement. Yeah, where you take pictures and you move your camera up and down or around and around.
If you want street, Steve Simon is the person that I would look up first.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Steve Simon is just ridiculously good at street
Okay.
photography. I've met him at a couple out of Chicago things.
Ian, I was gonna think of Shapiro from out of
Shapiro
Chicago.
is first of all, Shapiro's awesome at anything. He's a hilarious presenter. He's a fantastic presenter. But his street stuff. So he does street different than like maybe what Steve Simon. Steve Simon will do your and maybe I'm pigeonholing him too much here, but a lot of his stuff is more the candid street photography. Walk, kind of what you think of as street. Walk down the street, somebody's in a barber shop, you take the camera, you take a picture, you move on. That's kind of more Steve Simon stuff from what I'm familiar with, at least. Um, Alan Shapiro, he loves to walk up to people and just be like, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Can I take your picture?" Blah 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 blah. Or this couple, you're fantastic. Can you twirl her dance? On the bridge that we're standing on, and he takes their picture, and they'll have a whole conversation with them. And I did a out of Chicago street and architecture conference a couple years ago, and on his walk, his excursion. That's what we had to do. We had to walk up to people and be like, "Hey, can I take your picture?" Blah blah blah, and stuff like that. It's very challenging if you are not comfortable, which most people are not comfortable with walking up to strangers and asking them to take their picture. And Alan makes it look so effortlessly. He is amazing at it. So his pictures are then totally different than like a candid shot, and he gets these amazing portraits out of it, basically. So Alan for any topic is great.
Trick might be his price.
That's always the challenge, but I do know he does a lot of things like this, so I don't know what his price is.
Okay, yeah.
Tell him I'm your
expensive.
tell him I'm your camera club.
Okay.
That I'm in your camera club. That might help you. Might hurt, but
Yeah,
Flower boy.
they've started to bring their rates down a little bit because they're doing more of these Zooms, and I think they found that charging $500 for an hour doesn't really work, but $100 to $200 is not a lot of time for them, and it's nice quick cash. So starting to find more at that $150 price point, which is really what we're at. I mean, I'll have to sit down with Pat Lynch and we'll sort of discuss what our budgets may be for the season.
I've probably learned the most at the conferences and from Alan and Ann Belmont. Those two, they're probably the two main instructors. So,
is she starting to do more again? I know last time I checked with her, she didn't, but that was a couple years back.
I don't know if she's doing all that much like camera club Zoom stuff.
Yeah.
Not entirely sure. I haven't seen her for a couple weeks. Next time I see her, I'll find out.
Yeah, if you can ask her, you know.
it's worth timing. I can just ask her. She can tell me yes or
Yeah.
no, and I can let you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She just says no. It's plain and simple. And
Yep.
because I remember checking back, I think it was for PSA, and she wasn't doing. She was taking a break from all that.
Okay.
But
I
that was
could,
like 4
if
years
I
ago.
remember, I could probably just message her tomorrow. If it wasn't 9 o'clock at night already, I'd message her now. So
Yeah. I do have, we have the PSA speaker bureau that we can use, and I had sent it out to the board, and we have a bunch of different things that they picked out. We have use of positive and negative space and composition. I sort of get into the abstract photography stuff, understanding creativity to become a better photographer, capture and beyond making a winning image, the art of seeing. We probably should start doing a little bit more with smartphone photography, since Wacko is bringing in that category for competition. And we had a couple 10 reasons I'm an iPhone photographer. And what was the other one? Creative cell phone techniques. And yeah, a couple of those. Use of textures, which we've done before. I might check some of our regulars. We always have had Hazel Meredith come on. She's always got some good stuff. I'll see what she has new. Do we want to continue to keep doing the image critiques? We keep getting less and less images when we do that one, but I know it's a favorite.
Yeah, a lot of people like that. They like checking out other people's work and critiquing them, and what can be fixed, what.
And I'm trying to think.
Jeff, I also threw Charles Needle's website in the chat just now. I know
Okay.
he does stuff like this and has been interested in
Mm,
wanted me to pass his info on. So
okay.
he's a flower nature, but he also does like ICM stuff. So he's super nice and a really good instructor too. He has some really
Okay.
good photography.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of stuff I'm not seeing a lot lately because I don't have time to just surf around. But so if people find something, send me the website and I'll take a look at them. That's what I do when I pick out stuff for Digital Forum, and I'm at the same time that I'm doing Digital Forum, I'm going to be working on Camera Club, because heck, we need usually about 5 or 6 speakers, unless we start picking people from our club to do something special.
You mentioned abstract. Charles Needle has a whole gallery on abstract stuff.
Okay.
So make sure you go check that out.
I'd be
Yeah.
interested in that as well.
So I've got this list from the Speakers Bureau, but they put you through a whole bunch of hoops to be able to get these speakers, and they're not free. And I'd rather just go right to somebody's website and contact them direct.
You can tell Charles that I sent you too.
Okay.
He'd know it came from me. He'll know me.
Anything else? Any other suggestions?
Well, maybe one of these years, I know people have been talking. One of these years, maybe I should do a lecture or a presentation on my aviation photography.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Kind of what I do, kind of the ins and outs, what camera equipment, what lenses you should have. Because it is challenging, day and night. Although I can never really get good pictures of the night shots of the John Wisely does a great job on that. But as you see with the Corsair in the background, I can get some really cool shots, positioning all the lights, different angles. It's really cool.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time to do it. You did a nice job with the Corsairs.
Well, I mean, it took, oh God, it must have took, let's say, about a half. Well, okay, since the beginning and to the end, that probably took an hour, hour and a half. Doing different angles, positions. Waiting for the clouds to get away from the moon in the background. There's a lot of adjustment, and you're kind of doing it in the dark too. So
Yeah.
it's hard, and it's also hard too in that that is actually autofocus, but most of the time when you shoot into the sky, well, you got to do it manually. So it definitely helps to have I never believed in the modeling lights, where the light is, your flash is on, and boy, that makes a difference, night and day difference on making sure it's the autofocus is locked on.
Sure.
And I noticed that with people with their in my concert photography too, in my low light. It's nice to have that modeling light because sometimes I shoot people almost in the complete dark. Well, it's got nowhere to focus on.
Yeah.
So helps with their pupils on their eyes too, or whatever. Iris, pupils, whatever.
Yep. No, it's put something together, Clint. I mean, I think the club would like to see that.
I think you're right because I know my chapter, even for the airplanes, they would like me to do. They've been talking about it for several years. About it's like you should do something on that too, so I can make it both for both of us.
Yep. That's how I usually end up doing my stuff.
So,
usually for more than one group.
Yep.
I just don't shoot much anymore, so I'm not doing as many talks.
It's still the same, the principle in that, the technique principle, that for the most doesn't change.
Yep. Well, I think we can call it quits. It's 9 o'clock. I've got a storm rolling in here, so I'm not sure how long.
Power's going to stay on.
Doubt if it will drop out, but
Yeah, it just passed through here. It's pretty quick.
yeah. I'm seeing a lot of lightning through my closed blinds, and that's always a little bit of a warning.
Huge downpours coming too, just so you know.
Yep.
Well, I guess next month we'll have an in-person meeting then.
Yep.
Yes.
In person, 6 o'clock. We can meet at the pavilion, and you can walk around all the different buildings out there. There's quite a few different buildings, and probably can even let you into some of them. And
yeah, this year we're not going to be at the Rotary Park. We're going to be at the what is the name of that exact place again?
Old Falls Village Park.
County Line Road and Pilgrim Road.
Right
in the corner.
Yeah, because Rotary Park changed their fee from $70 to host a meeting or outing there to over $250 for the evening.
Oh. Yeah. Well, there was no excuse for that.
Yeah, they just raised their rates on all their parks. The only park they didn't, it's because we rent it or we lease it. So this park isn't costing us anything to meet at.
Wow.
But I'm not sure who's bringing the ice cream. Do we have that worked out, Linnea?
We do not yet. No, I was gonna behind the scenes talk like through email to find out what's been done before and what works best for this year.
Yeah, there are outlets there so we can plug in caramel pots or fudge pots or whatever. All right,
here.
if nothing else.
I just heard a whole bunch of thunder. Storm's here.
I think we're all out of here, and then I'll reach out through email, and then we'll see everybody on the 8th of July.
See you next month.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Good night.
Okay. We'll see ya.